The following is brought to you by the Starfleet Podcast Network, SPN, The Spin. There you go. Just don't move. Once it's in focus, just sit still.
Stay there. It doesn't help that I'm on a wobble board.
No, you're so fidgety. You're on a what?
Wobble board.
Why?
Because that's what I do when I podcast.
You working on your core?
Engage the core.
Treat this podcast with complete indifference like you do your core.
Shut the fuck. You're done. You're done, Kay. You're done.
Oh my God, that's the opener.
On a red alert.
Welcome to Beyond Trek Podcast. I am BigJ. I'm here with Dag, and we haven't done a podcast together in several months, I believe. It's been a while, Dag. How have you been?
I've been okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, really. All things considering. So you didn't get caught up in the fire, so you're safe from that, which is a good thing.
I'm 400 miles away from the Palisades fire.
Okay, good.
I'm
good.
Pretty safe from those. It's the ones in NorCal that I have to worry about when those crop up again.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Well, just stay safe there, and I am glad to be podcasting again. I tell you what, it's been a rough last few months with work. I pretty much just there's this big project we've had going on that has just been massive, and stress levels like you have not seen before. I pretty much just withdrew from everything. All of life. If it wasn't work and the kids and getting maybe 3 hours of sleep a night, that was it. But got back on it. Had to. I got to tell you, this is a personal thing. I had to get back on the medications. So for anyone out there that's on any kind of medications for mental health, let me just tell you, don't stop taking it. The trick is that when you're doing good and feeling good, it's because of that, not because things have suddenly gotten good in life. A mistake that I made, which made everything with the work and stress and just the army of people involved with this project from our parent company. It just there's that, and I was overextending myself with podcasting and all that stuff, and it just that house of cards came right down. But yeah, now, I was thinking, well, we've gotten past one big hurdle of this project. And I said, it's things are good. Stuff's kicked back in, just became a machine at work, getting through stuff. We hired on a few guys because it was just me as the IT guy for the company I work for a while. And we ended up having to get more people because it was just, this is not a one-man thing that you can do. So we got another IT specialist, and then a co-op who's ended up going to be getting a part-time job there, and a contractor from our parent company. So I'm kind of, managing that, to being the field marshal. But hey, things are good. So I'm hoping that gradually, as time goes along here, that I'll be doing a little more stuff. We can do some more podcasting, and when I guess Strange New Worlds, when that starts, maybe, do a thing here or there. But after watching Star Trek Suicide Squad, I was talking to Dag and said, I'm sorry. It's Star Trek Section 31, not Star Trek Suicide Squad.
See, I legit thought that was intentional.
Right. Me too. Now, I've got to tell you something. From the announcement of this movie, from then all the way up to watching it, my expectation level never changed. It stayed kind of low because I thought of all the things that they could do, of all the streaming movies. Now, I think that streaming movie is perfect for Star Trek. I think that's the right thing. It's either do the episodes like Strange New Worlds or Picard, whatever it is, do that. If you're going to do a movie, do straight to streaming Paramount Plus. Star Trek just is not a vehicle that fits in movie theaters. Every so often it works, but it inevitably always ends up kind of sliding down. However, this pick of character, cast, story, etc., was just like, why? Of all the things, why? I think, and you can challenge me on this, I think it was just because they had Michelle Yeoh and wanted to utilize her, kept her in the back pocket, and thought, well, we've got star power, and we'll do this whole thing centered around her and her character. To be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of her.
Don't say it, Jay.
An actress. I'm sorry.
We stand the universe.
I mean, it's in and stuff that she's in. Sure, just like the lead character, the lead actor, not really. It's kind of like Ryan Reynolds. I can handle him in small doses, but I can't watch a whole movie where he's the main actor and the main star.
No Deadpool for Jay?
I've seen all 3 Deadpool movies. I mean, I got through it. I went with my son Nacho to see Deadpool and Wolverine. We enjoyed it. We liked it.
Nacho's now old enough to see that movie. Sheesh.
Yes, right. He's off to the Navy. He left for the Navy last month.
Jeepers, Jay.
Yeah, just turned 19 at the end of December. I can't believe. Yeah, Jesus! Like I can't believe it. He was 14 when we started this podcast. Now he's all grown up and
that. But wow,
Navy,
incredible.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
No, but we love Michelle Yeoh. We like her in Everything Everywhere All at Once, Super Cop, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Like, I go to see her in theaters. I love her. And I guess that was another thing that I was like, that's all I knew going into this, was that she was in it. And I was like, I will see it for her.
Right. Well, there were just a few things that were going against it for me. The other one was the Vulcan with a Scottish accent. I'm not buying it. I'm sorry. I can't do that.
The talking fish with a Scottish accent riding a Vulcan cybernetic.
Yes. I think that was just a bridge too far. But here's the big thing. I'll just jump right into it. The biggest beef that I had with this movie was, and for anyone watching, listening, of course, there are going to be spoilers. If you have not watched Star Trek Section 31 on Paramount Plus, please.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Come back later and listen or watch this. So the big problem that I had was a character of Rachel Garrett. That was nothing but let's pull something from Star Trek lore to try to look cute. It doesn't work. And here's why. Because Philippa Georgiou came into the prime timeline in 2257. We know that Rachel Garrett was captain of the Enterprise C at the end of the Enterprise C's tenure when it was captured by the Romulans at Narendra 3. That was 2344.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you've got, 2257, 2344, 80 years, roughly 80 years of a gap that you have to cover. And somewhere in this gap of 85 plus years, you have some, just a little bit of how young can Rachel Garrett be, and in what year is your bottom on that? Memory Alpha claims that this is in 2324. Okay, so this character, let's say that she went into Starfleet exactly when you're old enough to enter Starfleet, which I haven't seen anything official, but for all intents and purposes, I believe that that's 18. Starfleet seems like to be a after high school college. So 18, I would say, is the average, maybe 17 or 16 if you're like a genius.
You're Wesley Crusher.
Right, exactly. So let's say that I'm not going to be that giving, and I'm going to give that she's been in Starfleet since she was 18. She's now a lieutenant. 20. Okay, let's say maybe she's 20. So 23, 24 of what Memory Alpha is saying kind of fits. However, here's the problem with that. That is 67 years after Philippa Georgiou comes into the prime timeline. So you're telling me that we're either 67 years after she arrived, or this character of Rachel Garrett, who's captain of the Enterprise C in 2344, is supposed to be somehow the captain of the Enterprise C when she's in her 70s or 80s, to make her just barely, I mean, like when you try to meet in the middle of how long after Georgiou comes into the prime timeline and how young Garrett could be, when you try to meet in the middle, the further you try to pull those two threads in, the more unbelievable it becomes. And that's the problem I have is, of all the characters you could have used, why did you be stupid? Why did you do that? It completely does not make sense. And it took me out of it the whole time, because I'm trying to reconcile these tugging at these two strands of time that's supposed to be going on here. Didn't work. Doesn't work. There's a lot about this movie that doesn't work. And that one was just kind of the biggest glaring, we're going to take your canon, Star Trek fans, and just do this to it, the finger. So for any of you not watching the video, it was that right there.
You spent a lot of energy on that one. That was the easiest thing for me to reconcile.
Really? Okay. So how did you reconcile it?
The Guardian of Forever didn't send her back to 2357.
2257. No, it literally said that that's when it happened. That was said in the movie.
That they sent her back to 2257?
Yep.
No way.
Yep. It was verbally said in a flashback showing the scene in Discovery season 4 that she went back. So there was a flashback scene of that scene when she went into the Guardian of Forever that said it was 2257. It was the briefing by the character that Jamie Lee Curtis played. She was doing the voiceover. So she even says it.
Well, then Georgiou's like 90.
I don't buy that. See, that's the problem. That's the problem, is either she's much older than she's playing, or this character of Garrett is much older once she becomes captain, because we have to pull back from that. See, it doesn't work. Now that you know that they're not saying when this movie takes place per se, all you know is 2257 is when Georgiou shows up. 2344 is when Garrett is captain of the Enterprise C. And somehow in that span of this 85 plus years, we have Georgiou and a young Rachel Garrett.
See, I'm reading that Section 31 says she arrived in the early 24th century. Maybe that's why it was easy for me to reconcile, because it wasn't an issue.
No, go back to it. Yeah,
I'm looking at disappointed. Memory Alpha.
No, watch it. You got to pull up the movie. That's the thing is Memory Alpha is trying to cheat for them. You start up the movie, and in like the first 5 seconds, that's said when she comes in. Sorry to kill the mood for you there, man, but I think you're gonna be in the Big J boat once you come to this realization that you missed that. So come on over to the Big J boat.
I'm not even putting that much energy into this whole thing. I was the one who told you that it was Suicide Squad in space.
It is. I'm sorry. There's just things some things that bother me for whatever reason. That was it.
I mean, I wasn't overly moved by the entire movie really at all. Like,
exactly.
Bringing back San as this person that she missed to suddenly be the villain, that didn't fly. This
put your hand towards your camera to get it to zoom.
Oh, you stupid freaking camera.
Yeah,
Nope. No.
Well, we don't want blurry Dag. We want regular Dag.
Dag is not.
There we go.
Dag. Dag is gone. I'm Mirror Dag, Jay. No, remember that?
Yes. Memories.
No, here was like my thing centered around the plot. You've got San, who's already said that who by the time we see him hand off this weapon to Giorgio in the mirror universe is like, he's already planned like to backstab her.
Mm-hmm.
So just activate the weapon there.
Right?
Why do you have to cross over into the Prime universe and hang out for 60 years to try and cross over back and then do the thing? Like, just blow up the people that fucked you over.
You know what's funny? I didn't realize that. So that makes sense. You're right. Why the hell didn't you just do it right then?
Just do it there. You're already pissed. You're already planned that you're going to betray her. Why are you walking around with this godsend device? Like, I'll wait. No, blow it up. Save everybody the trouble of watching the movie.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. That has put another really big plot hole in the whole thing.
I wasn't a huge. I mean, I like the actress who played Garrett. I think she brought a lot of spunk to that role, and I appreciate that contribution. And I think she acted what she needed to act, just fine for her.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, even though I'm in this boat of like Giorgio just ends up in the 24th century, whatever, I'm still kind of in this boat that, like, you know, you could have had an older Harriman or somebody else in that role. It didn't need to be Garrett.
Exactly. It did not need to be. It could have been anybody. That was an easy fix. Someone who had common sense could have said, if we're going to find some connection to Star Trek lore to make the fans happy, we could use, there were other choices. And that's the thing that frustrates me is when there's an obvious move to try to connect to the fandom and to past Trek, but then you fuck it up. That's the part that bothers me is, if you're going to do that and you're going to be blatant and ham-fisted, you want to have some throwback, don't be stupid about it. And that was a stupid move. There were other choices, but here's the thing. They wanted to get cute, wanted to be cute and have the future captain of an Enterprise. That could have been, okay, hold on. 6, 7, 87. Okay. So about 35 little bit and change years from when Giorgio showed up, John Harriman is captain of the Enterprise B. You could have had a young in Starfleet John Harriman, and you could have played around with when this movie takes place. It could have been 2260, 2260, 2270s. You had a lot more goodwill that you could have if you did that. But no, you had to be dumb. It's when you're so close to doing something right, but then you fuck it up. That's what's frustrating.
So in 2257, she was brought to our universe and joined Section 31. That tracks from season 2.
Yeah.
Of Discovery. Okay. After a few years.
No, it's in season 2 of Discovery, she went to the future.
No, that was season 3.
She was.
I guess it was the end of season 2.
Yes.
During season 2, she joined Section 31 to fight Control. But she's the one who kicked the shit out of the.
Yes.
Was the nanite thing.
Yes, right. But she was on Discovery when it went to the future. So in order for them to have this movie, they had to get her back. So they had to get her out of the 31st century.
So the narrative says recently she was seen in the border territory outside Federation space.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't say that they sent her back to 2257. She was brought over the first time in Discovery season 1. And they wanted her to pretend to be our Philippa.
It's implied that when she went into the Guardian of Forever, that she came back to.
I guess I would disagree. because it has to make sense. It has to make sense. It doesn't make sense that Giorgio's not 90, and it doesn't make sense that Rachel's not a baby. So my brain just says, in order to make it make sense, there's this room to say that the Guardian of Forever sent her back to a time where her body's not falling apart because of the distance between their two universes, which is also a really weird and contrived thing.
It's ugly. I'm just saying. I get what you're saying, but it's ugly. It didn't have to be ugly.
What is this Treaty of Catan they're talking about? Catan was destroyed 1,000 years ago. I mean, there's a lot of references in here that are like, you looked at the encyclopedia and went, people know what that is, but
yep. There was a reference they made right at the very end that I know I should know and that we should get, but
oh, you mean Turkana 4? Oh, I was so mad.
Don't tell me
about going to Turkana 4.
Turkana 4, wasn't that the colony that Tasha Yar and her sister were? Okay, I knew it.
What's Section 31 doing at Turkana 4? Are they going to destabilize it? Is Tasha's whole history because Section 31 botched an action?
Right.
Sorry.
Right. So that like right there.
I have a lot to be angry about, and Rachel Garrett is like over here.
Considering, right, exactly. Considering what we know the Yars came from, why was that the wink wink callback? Why use that place as the tongue in cheek? Here's another reference from Trek lore that only real fans will get. Okay, so yes, we understand the reference now, but do you understand what that place is and what it became, and why is that the cutesy throwback? See?
It is not well thought out.
No, it really wasn't. It was there were a lot of missed opportunities here, a lot of botched elements, and unfortunately, Section 31 checked the boxes for all of those. And when it came to the crown of worst Star Trek movie, has been a very tough crown to take. Nemesis came very, very close to taking that crown. But not since Nemesis has there been a challenger to Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, and
to Darkness. Sorry.
Take that back. You take that back, mister. Come on.
Whitewashing Khan? No. The man was an Indian, and he deserved to be played accurately. Okay. I will give you that. I will concede. But it was worth it to watch Spock kick the shit out of him.
Yes. I am with you. I don't agree with the whitewashing of Khan. However, I think all in all, Into Darkness, in my opinion, was not a contender to dethrone Star Trek V. I think that Nemesis still held that until now. I think now Section 31 has quite possibly dethroned Star Trek V as worst Star Trek movie.
And Star Trek V is not, it's like in the middle for me, because Cybok was right. The dude with the therapy was always just going, hey, share your pain. Share your pain, bro. It's going to be okay. We'll work through it. And Kirk was like, no, I need my pain. I was like,
right. I want my pain. I need my pain.
We found the crypto bro on the Enterprise. Sorry. And I understand what like Kirk was saying there, but like Cybok wasn't taking away their pain. He worked through their pain with them.
He was a therapist.
Yeah. He was the space therapist. That's all he was. And I mean, a little bit of telepathic projection is probably a violation because you're not supposed to go into somebody's head without consent. But that's a higher level thing. I would hold that against him. Yeah, I'd be like, get out of my brain, ask for permission.
Well, he did. I mean, he did.
Maybe.
Yeah. Go. If he did. There was.
Okay. There's some fuzzy room in there, I suppose.
Well,
I don't feel like he did that for McCoy. I think it was just like suddenly McCoy's dad was there.
Here's what I will say: if you go back and watch it, permission is implied more than lack of permission.
Okay. We don't have
That's
to argue Star Trek 5 right here, right now. We're still dissing Section 31.
right. Pull me back to Section 31. So yes.
Let's see. Giorgio.
Yep.
I think Michelle Yeoh was still playing Giorgio, just completely chewing the scenery and everything she was in.
Yep.
This guy,
No idea who he
was
is.
supposed to do. He's supposed to be like the Section 31 contact or something like that. But
Right.
but in the movie, it says that she's the only one who is Starfleet.
Correct.
How can you be Section 31 and not be Starfleet? But I guess Section 31 is a Federation organization.
Easy. Section 31 isn't Starfleet.
All right, fine. I
Yeah.
hate it.
Section 31 is not Starfleet. So
We have
comic relief.
We have Michael Jackson from the 1982 movie Thriller. The only thing I had to say about this guy was, I guess comic relief, but they really messed with like the cameloid shapeshifting stuff.
Didn't like that either.
They made him go like blah, 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 instead of like Iman's very refined, just shifting.
Oh, was he a cameloid?
Yeah, he was a cameloid.
Oh,
yeah, that's okay. That's why he was shapeshifting.
Well, I knew he was a shapeshifter, but I guess I missed that he was the same race as
Iman?
The actress Iman played in Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country. Okay, so that's
I am a hand.
So that
Logitech
makes a little more sense. Not that it made anything better. It but yeah, there's that.
Let's go.
There you go. Just don't move. Once it's in focus, just sit still.
Stay
right
there. It doesn't help that I'm on a wobble board.
No, you're so fidgety. You're on a what?
Wobble board.
Why?
Because that's what I do when I podcast.
You working on your core?
Engage the core.
Treat this podcast with complete indifference like you do your core.
Shut the fuck. You're done. You're done, Kay. You're done.
Oh my God, that's the opener. So comic relief. Okay, so apparently he's a cameloid. Then
questionable continuity issues.
Yep.
Fridged.
Yep.
The Delton.
A Delton, just to have a Delton.
Shows up and is like, "Hey, baby," and then gets slaughtered. And I'm just like, I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. First of all, we haven't seen a Delton in 40 odd years.
Right.
Can we not fridge the alien chick, please? Not in the beginning.
Right.
Scottish dude bro, when I realized, like, when I saw this, like, they do a pan of that club and you see all these characters in the beginning and then she flashbacks through them, and like, this guy's laughing and I'm like, nobody went Romulan? Come on. Like, come on.
Would you have bought it more?
Romulan.
Well, I mean, would it have made a difference if he was a Romulan and not a Vulcan golem?
Automaton? No, I mean, he could be a Romulan automaton for all I care, or he could be a Vulcan automaton pretending to be Romulan.
Are we assuming Vulcan? I thought Vulcan was said.
They called him a Vulcan.
Okay, but he could have been anything but a Vulcan.
Giorgio does this like Sherlock Holmes takedown. She's like, "And you're super laughing Vulcan who doesn't know when to stop." And I was just like, and then they invented this thing called a nanokin, which I'm really mad about. I've got beef about, because if you go on Reddit to my subreddit, I actually wrote a short story about Star Trek where you have a fish piloting a robot body.
Did you really?
So someone's reading Reddit. Like, I can handle like a lot of different things, but like, you got a fish piloting a robot body. Ooh, that's a little too close for comfort. Oh well, put it in the public sphere. Anybody can take it.
And then you didn't copyright it. They got to trademark it.
G.I. Joe.
Right. Yep. The heavy. We got to have we got to have a bro, another dude bro, a jock.
Contemporary Star Trek seems to really like this whole cybernetic implant thing, and while we did have like small bits of that in the Next Generation and such, Geordi's visor, Rom had a biosynthetic leg printed up and attached to him. Even like Melora had that exoskeleton to help her get around.
Right.
I didn't really understand why this guy was ahead in what appeared to be a cyborg body.
It's because this was kind of a not pay attention and you'll miss it, almost a throwaway line, but he had some kind of what do they call it? I think they said cybernetic dysphoria, which
He just kept liking to add body parts to himself.
yes.
Okay.
So,
Right.
so
I'll let it slide.
yeah. So instead of getting large gauges in your ear or other, it basically like an implant thing.
Honestly, I swear there are probably fans who were like, "Same, bro, same."
Right? Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
There's even like I think the DSM-4 even notes that there is a body dysphoria where you are constantly thinking about removing parts of your body.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
Like that would be a scary thing to live with because it's like I need my hands, but I also want to cut off my arm.
Dude. Oh man, this went dark.
It's section 31. Sorry.
Ooh.
I didn't move, camera. You have no permission.
Well, that was the other thing is I don't want to. I know I'm going to regret saying this. I know I'm going to regret it, so I'm saying it now. I really think that this movie was doing a lot of woke box checking. Let's get the wokeness bingo card and let's check some boxes.
Drum roll.
And I know it's very cliched to think that everyone like woke is a derogatory term or whatever it is. And yes, I know Star Trek has always been woke, but there's this hyper focus made on that word. And to me, this movie felt like it was checking boxes in that department. Like what can we do to appeal to this fan base that we think is there that is not really there. It was just trying to do too much. It felt to me, it felt like boxes? It was trying to check boxes.
Where are the boxes?
Well, okay. So for the boxes, I mean, you have, I don't want to go there and mess up is the thing. I felt like that there was, okay, you've got your gender queer, you've got your dysphoria, you've got your minorities, you've got your female strong man. It's just check. What else we got? All right, check.
That's not something I see anymore.
And I'm not saying I see it. I can tell when they're doing it. To me, it just felt like I could tell they were doing it.
That's hot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's very pretty. Yeah.
I kind of expect that from Star Trek. I kind of appreciate it. The first 100 years of cinema or so, white people were everybody. We had white people in blackface and white people in brownface, and so if we have a cast of people that is somewhat white, that's fine with me.
Maybe I'm just getting old and crotchety.
Maybe. You're on the early side of Zennial. I'm on the last year of Zennial. You got A New Hope. I got Return of the Jedi.
Correct. Right.
And we grew up in very different places and we had very different experiences.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
I can definitely empathize with different takeaways on a lot of the content there.
So I probably, and based on that, what you just said there, I'm probably more in tune to seeing pandering. I might be a little more attenuated to seeing pandering.
Maybe.
I think just a big maybe.
I don't know if I'm too qualified to super dig into that. I don't know enough about the psychosocial history of television to call, and this could just be a me thing. I don't know. Like, was it subtle pandering or is it like in your face pandering? Because in your face pandering to me is somebody going, I am this and I have this and this is what I am. And that's a little more like TV pandering. And I can think of a couple of instances where that's happened. And then there's just times where someone's themselves and their thing, and it's not really pertinent to the plot.
I've seen the difference. I know there's a difference. This one, for whatever reason, just happened to me, at least, made me aware that that was what they were doing. I'd have to suffer through watching it again to see what it was that gave me that reaction, and I really don't want to watch this again. I just remembered feeling at the time that I felt like, I'm going to be talking about this on a podcast, probably with Dag. I'm going to say I felt like there were points where we were being pandered to.
Well, I would empathize with that as well. Your experience with media pandering has probably been a lot different than mine.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
I probably have the fortune of not seeing myself be pandered in media.
Right.
Which is, I say it's a fortune, but it's probably a drawback. And if I paid more critical attention to the media that I consumed as an adolescent, I would probably see that more.
Right.
I notice it in like shows because I'm going through How I Met Your Mother again.
Okay.
And I'm like, everybody in the show is white. And if I'm looking at the background, I might see a person of color somewhere in the background.
Right.
Or Barney might hit on a person of color or a different ethnicity. But everybody that this show features as a recurring character is white, and two of them are like the whitest people caricature you could find. So
right.
I see that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, and I totally get what you're saying. It's it's just one of those things, and maybe the audience, maybe there's someone out there that could be saying, yeah, I could kind of see what Big J is saying, kind of feel that. And there could be others that are like, with what Dag is saying, like, hey, I don't really see it. But then again, you've got one person that's on the front end of a generation, and the other's on the tail end of it. And that's a little bit of enough to
keep in mind. Like, I'm from West Coast America and you're from Middle America. And that's
correct.
Two very different upbringings and pressures there. Yeah.
So there's right.
So if you're listening and you were like, I vibe with this, I vibe with that, I don't vibe with this or that, post a comment. Like, hit us up on social media and let us know, like, what'd you vibe with? What did you not vibe with? And if you're experienced in the field, like, call me out. Like,
right.
I'm here for it. I'm limited to so much exposure of things.
Right. Well, that would be great. I would like it if we got some feedback on that for the audience that we have to try to regain that may have been like, where the hell did Beyond Strike podcast go? But what's funny? I gotta say this real quick. There have been on a few occasions where I've had people come to me and ask me, like, are you going to, is Beyond Trek podcast coming back? What happened to it? Are you going to do it again? So we do have people out there that were listeners and watchers that have noticed that, we haven't been around. So there is that. So we can take some comfort there that we've been missed by at least two people. No less than two. So maybe three, possibly more, but who knows? So yeah. But if you really do miss us, like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us what you think. Call me out. Call Dag out. I could be totally off base, completely wrong. We like that feedback. But that's what I have to say about Section 31. I like with all Star Trek, I want to like it. I do. I'm not a hater. I'm not one of those people that's like, if you so much as show me a picture of a uniform or a comm badge that's from Kurtzman era, then I automatically don't like you. I'm not that bad. There are people out there that are like that, but I'm not like that. However, I would have to rank Section 31 among the same as how I feel with Lower Decks. I had to watch it because I feel like I need to watch everything Star Trek because I have seen every episode and movie of Star Trek there is, and I don't want to lose that. So I stay in the know. That way, if I'm going to talk about something, I want to be informed. I want to speak about it intelligently. I don't think there would be anything worse than after this entire thing that I said for me to say, oh, I didn't watch the movie. You know, I read about this and read that opinion or this. No, you've got to be informed. So even if you don't like it, do the audience a favor and have at least seen it so that you have some credibility there in your opinion. So that's what I got to say about that.
And I love Lower Decks, and I am still mostly in agreement with you about Section 31. About 4 minutes into Section 31, I got a text and then forgot I was watching a movie for 20 minutes. It was on pause. And then I looked up and went, oh, right, movie. So, I mean, it didn't really capture my attention. The Hunger Games aspect to the Terran Empire gambling on two teenagers to ascend to the throne when there's already appears to be like a hierarchy in place with these massive city ships and that very interestingly decked out maybe curator of the games.
Mm-hmm.
That was an interesting thing. I would have liked to have gotten a little bit more information there to be like, oh yeah, if an emperor dies and doesn't leave an heir, we have a free for all. Okay.
And you know, I didn't catch the Hunger Games thing. So
no, well, like her and son had to pit it out,
sure,
against other kids.
I just didn't make that like you're
okay. Yeah, no, that was very like Hunger Games. What's the one? Squid Game,
right?
And then like Lord of the Flies.
Yeah. No, it makes total sense. You're right. I just there were other things that I had a problem with and was kind of beefing on. So that's why I like talking about this to somebody, because I was fully aware of this whole you pit a bunch of people to, you know, against each other, and you know there's always two there are, and then there can only be one. Like I was understanding that, I was getting that, but Hunger Games didn't jump out to me because there were other things that were taking me out of the movie that I was beefing on. But yeah, I mean, you brought up stuff that I didn't quite make that connection on, and hopefully there's something that I brought up that you're like, oh shit, Big J, I didn't catch that. You're right. But yeah, so now we've got a whole Hunger Games thing, which to me, I think the whole Terran Empire, I think they overdid it. I think they're overdoing it with just how Terran Empire it is. It's like they've made it so extreme that it's become implausible that it even survives itself into. I mean,
let's remember what the Terran Empire was introduced to be. It was supposed to be a foil of our heroes.
Yeah. And
our heroes were the good guys.
Right.
And it's 1966, 67. I think that's when Mirror came out. I think it was second
something
season.
Like that.
And so it's 1967. World War II is only 23 years away at this point. You've got kids watching this show who were born in the post-war period, right?
Right.
So their parents are resonating with this imagery.
Yep.
And of course, that's why Gene Roddenberry, used that imagery, because it would resonate. It would grapple you. It would say, here's what would happen if our heroes lived in a different world. And this is what they would be like. the morality play there was, keep a check on power. And,
Yes.
And we said, we watched that episode and we went, okay. And we never had to deal with that again until Deep Space Nine said, hey, remember that episode that was a big morality thing? What if we turned it into a sandbox? What if we just made it a playground?
Mm-hmm.
And then they went there and all the Nazis are dead and the aliens roll. And I'm like, whoa, what's the problem? What's the problem? All the humans watching the show are like, those poor Terrans are like, those motherfucking Terrans who deserve it, bitches.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And so that played out, and those episodes, like the Section 31 episodes in DS9, kind of became almost farcical. Those were the breathing room episodes that we got between the serious Dominion War episodes. Like, okay. And then Discovery came back and, well, it popped up again a little bit in Enterprise to be like, here are the roots of Section 31.
Right.
I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, let's skip over this episode. And then Discovery said, we live here now. And we have this human who is quite literally probably the nastiest human to ever be presented in Star Trek lore ever.
Right.
Because I don't know what species the Borg Queen actually is, but she's number 2.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And there's a lot of people who are like, well, she could be redeeming. And I'm like, I don't want to normalize this concept that mass genocidal.
Do not try to tell me that Hitler was misunderstood. Deserve
to be, whatchamacallited into the like, be okay with that. I had serious upsets with that in season 2. You can watch the last episodes when we did, our Discovery stuff.
Yeah.
We all had issues with that, and the fandom still has issues with that, especially today.
Yes.
And so you can't.
You can't do both. They're trying to do both at the same time. Like, they want to make her the worst person ever, worse than Hitler. But we also want to keep her redeeming and have redeeming qualities. Right. It's like, okay, you can't. I don't. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let me tone that back just a little bit. They could get away with it if they didn't go out of their way every chance they had to make her even worse and worse and worse. That's the problem. Is you're wanting to have your cake and eat it too, but you keep making the cake worse. You keep putting more crap on it, more mold, and you're making it harder and harder to swallow that. You kind of have a little bit of buy-in from us that there's something you can redeem with this character. However, every chance you get, you make her worse. You take the person and the redemption, and you keep doing that with it. You keep diverging it, and you're making it a lot less believable and a lot less plausible. If you want this character to be someone that could have any kind of redeeming quality, stop going out of your way to accentuate how bad she is and how horrible she was. And that's the problem, is the entire point of this movie, the entire plot line around the whole revenge thing, is how horrible she is. Yet at the same time, you want me to like it. You're shoving this thing down my throat. At the same time, you're wanting it to taste good. Well, what are you doing? Are you shoving it down my throat, or do you want it to taste good?
I was talking to Renzo, and we both agreed, like, we need to make Star Trek utopian again.
Right.
Star Trek was at its best when our heroes were checking out planets and solving problems. And I do get that there's like a bit of a colonialist vibe there. We need to shy away from those episodes where it's like, it's the Prime Directive, but they're they're like a backwoods planet. It's okay. Like, no, let's not do that. Let's
Right.
put beacons up, say we're not going to go to those kinds of planets anymore. But
Mhm.
for those planets that may have just developed warp and are exploring the area, you have to have like levels of engagement to be like, yeah, they're still in their own solar system. Just, spoof the warp trails so they don't detect us.
Right. Yeah, we got to
Um,
chill for a while longer.
Right. We gotta, that would be an interesting, I don't know if that'd be an interesting show or episode, but it's like quantifying or qualifying the prime directive and
Hmm.
really establishing like very strong boundaries about where our characters, and I know it's not realistic. A lot of people are like, well, if you see people dying, you got to step in. And I'm like, I kind of agree with that. If you have the power to help people, you should help people. I agree with that. But
You mean in regards to the prime directive and
yeah,
how it worked? No, you shouldn't.
yeah. See,
You
and
can't.
we can be divided on that. I totally get that because, like, what if you help them and then they shove it up your butt?
What? Right. Well, here's the thing. This is what I will always go back. Now, I know that the prime directive can put you in horrible situations. But the thing that I always come back to try to defend the prime directive is, what if a benevolent alien species saw this asteroid heading towards Earth and they wanted to divert it so that it wouldn't cause any damage 65 million years ago?
Well, my prime directive would say, they're just dinosaurs. But you're right. And
I mean, what if some
but it's not,
meant well person?
I need to preface it with the prime directive was never realistic. It was idealistic.
Yes.
And there were moments where we did break the prime directive and we sided with our characters because there was justifiability written into their words. But you if you try to apply realism to Star Trek, you lose the idealism, you lose that utopian vibe, you lose the competency porn that we all love when everyone on the ship is working together doing their job and they save the day. Like, we love that, and we don't get that a lot anymore in the more modern interpretations. Like, even with Enterprise, you've got our Archer, the warlord, storming these ships in the Expanse for their materials because he has a mission. And like, I vibe with the mission, but at what point do we even have to think about it's okay to sacrifice yourself and everything you stand for the mission? I don't know where to draw that line for other people. And other people might have been like, no, that totally makes sense. He was saving Earth. One stranded ship, whatever. He's saving a whole world.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
I can see the reason in that, but I don't know where my line is. I'm not in that situation.
Right. We're also, you're right. We're also not in that situation, and we don't have that kind of desperation behind us.
I don't have that pressure on me to have to make that decision in that moment for what I deem to be the greater good. So a little bit of that comes out in Enterprise, which was a post 9/11 show. And then we lose Enterprise and we don't get anything until Discovery. And the Discovery crew is a lot more human. The competency porn is not there anymore. And we get a lot of pushback that I was uncomfortable with. I'm like, this is a military hierarchy, bro. Like, we don't want to call it a military, but there's definitely a hierarchy. And when someone tells you to do something, sure, you can be like, can I question this? But
we don't want to call it a military, but we're going to have military ranks, military uniforms, military
weapons, ships, designations, naming conventions.
Yep.
And again, we're applying realism to something that we'd like to be more idealistic. We want to take that question and go, let's not answer it, because Star Trek is at its best when we believe that the people on these ships are the best humanity has to offer, who work together like a well-oiled machine to save problems that are allegorical for people who are living on Earth today watching these episodes.
Yep.
And Star Trek moved away from that into more of an action kind of narrative. And that got a lot of frustration from people who wanted it to be more utopian. I'm sure there's plenty of people who love Discovery because it's very actiony. I love Discovery because I think the sociological character makeup is more representative of people. You know, a lot of people call that woke, but I'm like, I live in it every day. Like those are the people I hang out with. So that's just normal for me. But I mean, again, listeners can go back to the episodes that we did on Discovery. There's a lot about Discovery we didn't like.
You're right. There was a lot we didn't like, but you know what though? The thing was, I looked forward to watching it. I didn't look for maybe the first couple seasons of Lower Decks. It wasn't an obligation. It became an obligation for me. Whereas Strange New Worlds, Picard, Discovery, I looked forward to. But yes, there were times that there was stuff that we didn't like, that didn't vibe with us. You know, we weren't fanboys, so but we also weren't haters.
Correct.
So
section 31, technical aspects aside, are the graphics great? The scenes are great. The CG's fine. The characters probably well acted for what they had to deal with. No problems with that side of it. But Section 31 as a Star Trek movie doesn't contribute anything to Star Trek.
No. It
doesn't have the allegorical resonance that makes people stop and go, hey, maybe we should think about things differently. It's Giorgio's story, and it tidies that up. And now Michelle Yeoh is free to go and do other things, because before she became an Emmy winner, she was contractually obligated to do Section 31, the TV show.
Oh, I did not know that. Well, shit. Yeah.
That's why at the end of Discovery, she's having these flashbacks about San, because the Section 31 show is supposed to be reconciling San.
Okay.
They were going to tie all that together.
Gotcha.
But instead, they had to turn it all into one 95-minute movie. And that kills a lot. It's like Firefly. Did you watch Firefly?
Of course.
We love Firefly.
Of course.
Right? Some of the best cowboy sci-fi there is.
Yes.
It got one season and one movie. And they had to put, 5 seasons of plans and pick out 90 minutes that they could tell a story with for that movie. And that's all the Firefly we get.
Yep.
Which is very sad, but it's more than what we got out of Section 31.
Yeah.
We didn't even get a season of TV out of that. So,
it was Suicide Squad with a Star Wars wrapper. I mean, Star Trek wrapper.
Yeah, I mean, they could have told this story in the Star Wars universe. They'd have to get rid of all the interdimensional shenaniganery, but in Star Wars, it makes way perfect sense that you have a fish piloting a droid.
Yes.
That would not have any questions on my plate at all. And it makes me wonder now, was this a Star Wars script that got thrown away?
Right. Right. When it has the Star Trek name on it, there's problems with this. Now, you call it something Star Wars and take away the Starfleet references. All you have to do is subtract a couple little things, and this could be anything. Yeah. So
totally okay with droids like that in the whole Star Wars thing, but yeah, I don't have much more to say about.
No, that's perfect. It's a nice, lean, mean hour of dissecting Section 31, which is great. Keep it short, keep it precise. No more of these 2-hour podcasts talking about a 24-minute episode of a cartoon. Oh my God, those were some rough days. I'll tell you what. I don't know how we did that every damn time.
We had to break down every single little reference and talk about it in all those shows. Season 5 is over, but it'll be on Blu-ray in March for Lower Decks. I'm getting it. And I'm definitely leaning into this hard physical media. So as much as I detested Picard, I got all 3 seasons on Blu-ray.
Yep.
So strangely enough, the only shows I don't have on hard physical media are Voyager and Discovery. And I feel bad about that because I recognize that some people might look on the surface of that and be like, oh, you don't have the ones with the women captains. I'm like, no, I don't have the money to get those. The ones I got were all for Christmas.
I'm broke. I'm broke.
I got a tooth falling out of my head right now.
Right. Yeah. I got kids to feed. We got bills to pay. We don't just have money.
And for now, I have Paramount Plus.
Right. Right.
So-
We don't have a lot of money, and pretty soon we're going to have less of it. All right. So, Dag, thank you very much. We should do this again sometime. There's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I miss these talks. Is great. Hopefully there will not be several months in between of Beyond Trek podcast. We should definitely do another thing again sometime.
Yeah, definitely. I've been chewing over some ideas. I'll hit you up.
Awesome. Great. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening, watching Beyond Trek podcast. We appreciate it. Yep.
And going boldly with Beyond Trek podcast.
Yay! Live long and prosper.
We are Beyond Trek Podcast. Lower your inhibitions and surrender your years. We will add inspirational and hilarious Trek content to your day. Your attention will adapt to subscribe to us. Resistance is futile.